Hey everybody, I'm going to do a video on the 8-in-1 hoop because I used the sucker and I made some mistakes. My needle hit this. Yeah, and I just want to show you guys some more tips on using this, okay? So I took the stabilizer off just so you can see how that, let me move that out of the way. Let me come this way. How this kind of sets. See that? Okay. And then here's where it goes in, just like any other hoop, right? So to get that in, you're going to have to adjust this and this. All right. The other thing I want to make sure you know is if, let's say you're doing something with applique, right? And you need to pull it out more to trim away. Do not unscrew this and take it off and put it back on because you will have trouble lining that up. Once that is on there, you just kind of want to forget that until you're done, because then you just take it out like you would any other hoop, okay? And what do I mean by that? This is what I mean by that, okay? When I want to take this out, I don't unscrew it from the back. I take it out just like any other hoop, okay? Cut my applique, do whatever, right? And then I'm going to put it back in just like any other hoop. If when you're stitching, you take this off for some reason, it's going to be very hard, if not difficult, to get everything lined up back correctly or lined up where you had it. The other thing I want to show you is kind of a close-up. So people always say, well, which way does it go in? See how that kind of goes down? If you're my age, you remember metal sliding boards and how they used to burn you. So when you put it on, just remember it goes down like that sliding board. Okay? Let me show you something else. So when you take that off, see those two raised areas right there? Can you see that? There's one there and one there. See that? I'm going to tilt it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, when this goes on, like I said, you want it, see how it's kind of like the sliding board? It goes down, the groove goes down. So you want to put that under there, under the bolt, that middle part, under the bolt, line it up. But before you latch that bolt down, you want those two holes to line up to those. And you'll hear like a little click. And then you tighten that down. If you don't get those lined up, you're not going to tighten that all the way down. That's going to bobble up and down and it's going to throw your stitches off. Okay, so that's how that goes. So that's the big one. And I'm doing this without stabilizer so you can see everything. Okay, I use sticky stabilizer on these. And I'll show you that, how I do that. Because don't assume just because it's sticky stabilizer it'll go on there and it'll be tight. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so here's a smaller one with the sticky stabilizer. Don't mind the hole, I patched it. I was doing an Easter bunny and that was just its nose. So remember how it goes in? So it's like your slide that you went on. See how that goes down? So it's gonna go on the bolt like that. So that means you want the sticky side here. Hear that? So you're gonna cut your stabilizer, and it's going to stick to the underside. So when you have that down on your table, or however you want to do it, so some people put it on with it down and then they flip it over. Some people slide it under. I like to wrap mine around the edges because I want it to be tight like that, okay? Sometimes you have to like even pull the paper, right? Pull the stabilizer so that it's tight. So as you pull it and wrap it around, you can get that tightness. So here I have it with my sticky stabilizer. See how it's going down? I take my arm of it, I put it in there, loosen it up a little bit, and I want those holes to line up with like the little prongs that are coming out. See that? They line up good. That gives me a it makes it very flat. And then I tighten it. Now this is going to go on just like any other hoop, right? It's going to go on just like any other hoop. So we're going to put this on like any other hoop until it clicks. So the beauty of this is once you can change this inner part. So this can stay stationary, and you can change this inner part to any of the other sizes that come with it. Same principle. You line up the holes with the notches on this base piece, and it always goes like, right? You're sliding down the slide. You'll notice that these also have, which is nice for lining up purposes. See that little notch there? You see that? See that notch? And a notch there. I can give you the center mark right there. See that? There it is. And then right there. So let me give you an example of what I use these for. So for Easter, I got these bunny bags. And these are a nicer bunny bag. They're lined. And they're pretty, they're more narrow at the top than the bottom. So I couldn't get the magic hoop in it that I had. So I decided to use this type of hooping station on it. So for this is the stabilizer I like to use. It's the sticky self-adhesive Tearaway Silky brand stabilizer. Okay, so that's what I have on here. So let me show you how I hoop that. So I'm just gonna do a brief little tutorial here. Certainly I did not hoop it standing up like this, but my tripod's in storage. So what I did was I marked the center of my bag, and then I lined up the center of this with my mark. And then I wanted it to line up straight. Obviously I wanted it to be straight. So I lined it up with this mark at the top because I wanted these to still be visible so they would snap into place good, right? Then, so this would be on the table. Pretend that's on the table. Then I kind of did this on the table so it would stick to the stabilizer a little bit, not move around. Then I took these paper clips to help keep it in place, right? And I made sure my center mark was still lined up, made sure it was even with that, and then even on that side, and then clipped it on the other side, right? And then I straightened it, kept going down the side, clipped it there. And then smoothed it out, clipped it there, right? So you can see I have an open place for the bar to go on, right? Now this would be on a table. Go smooth it down a little bit more. Make sure your clips are not like that. You don't want a needle to hit that, so keep your clips up, okay? Now, once you have it, see how secure that is? Right? Not going anywhere. So once I have it attached to whatever 8-in-1 frame I want, I'm going to attach it to the bar. So remember, I've already hooped it, so it's like a sliding board down. If you cover it up and you're like, oh crap, did I do that the right way? Just look at the back of it and you can tell, right? But mine is. So now, if there's a handle or something else, like these bunny ears, you want it below that frame. You're going to put it in, screw that a little bit, and you're going to make those holes line up, right? They're lining up. Now we're going to tighten it. Okay. So whatever blank you have on there, you want an opening to go on the bar. And if you have to take it off, let's say your bobbin runs out, you take the whole thing out. You do not touch this until you're done. You're taking your blank off, you're done. Okay? So I'm going to load this now. I'm going to make sure that all this stuff is out of the way. So I'm going to load my hoop, my frame, just like any other hoop. I'm going to get, if there's any handle or anything like that, get it out of the way. I'm going to look underneath, make sure there's nothing in the way. We're clear of the bar, we're clear of everything. Now you look at that and you say, oh my gosh, how do I make sure I don't hit that stinking metal frame? That's next. I really want to show you that. I always start by putting my needle on one. Okay, and that gets my needle kind of in the center. Still really not in the center. So I've picked my colors. I've picked my file. So this is going to show you how to not hit that frame. So what you do is you go to design set, and anytime you're using the 8-in-1, no matter what size this is, you're going to use other. You're just going to use other. Okay. Now I don't need to flip the design, so it's just that way. If I needed to flip it, right, then I could just do that and flip it, and that'll get it so it flips that way. But I don't want to flip it. I want to print it just like it's showing on my panel. Okay? So then we go to escape. And now we're like, okay, so we have other. So before you ever hit this button, you want to line up needle 1 in the center of whatever hoop you have on. Okay, let me show you what I mean by that. So here I am, and if I push the lever 1 down, you can see I'm way closer to this side than that side. So I want to push my needle to the center of this both ways, length and width wise. Now, and you can print, you know, whatever you're going to do and mark it. You can measure and mark it. When I did the bunny bags, I measured it. You can find the center. So when you do this, you want the center of the frame though. You don't want to necessarily mark the center part of the bag where you want it, or you might hit it. So if I push that down, we can see it's too far over this way. So I'm going to, I want it to go more in the center, okay? If you feel there, you can feel that ridge a little bit, or you can mark it, whatever you want to do. Right now, I'm just showing you the concept of it. That's still a little too far, so I'm going to move it back. And let's say I think, you know what, that looks centered. And now I want to make sure it's centered long-wise. So I'm going to go, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball that and put it down. There's the end of my hoop. There's the top of my hoop, way up there, bottom's there. So it's way too far this way. So I'm going to back it up. Okay, so now if I put it down, it looks like it's pretty centered this way, as well as pretty centered that way. Now, when you have it centered, and you want to tell the machine, this is where I think I want you to have the center of my design. Push that all the way down, and that kind of like locks it in once you do this, once you hit that. Okay, inner embroidery, you want to click yes. Okay, so now is when you can start tracing your design. First and foremost, you need to make sure that whatever design you have is within the parameters of your frame. If once you trace it, it's a little close, and making you nervous, you can go in, you go out of your file here, and you can go in design set, and you can clear that out, and you could take it down like 80%. So I suggest, if you're worried about hitting that frame, if once you trace it, it looks too close, go in, reset your X and your Y axis, which will shrinken it both ways and should preserve the design. They do recommend you don't decrease it more than 20%, okay? This new one I uploaded is pretty small, so I'm going to keep it at 100%. Now you could also make it 120%, so you can make it a little larger, a little bigger, but they don't recommend going more than 20% either way, okay? So I have mine back to 100. I want it stitching in normal position. All right, and now I'm going to escape, and now my needle is still centered to where it looks centered to me. So now I'm going to lock this again. Now is when I can trace it. Remember, this one brings the frame out, and on this particular frame, you don't really want to do that. Trust me, you'll get a weird grinding noise. If you need to take the frame out, take the whole frame out. Don't use that button on these frames. So now we're going to trace it and see where it's showing me this is going. It looks fine, but now I want to slow it down and really trace it and see what's happening. Right? I want to hold my presser foot down, not with a lot of force, because you can actually bend that. So just kind of chill out, don't push real hard. So I'm going to do it this way just so you can see, and I'm going to trace here. That's going to show me slow motion where that's going to go. And you can see I'm nowhere near the clips. I'm nowhere near the frame. Right? So now I can have confidence that I'm not going to hit that frame. Now normally on this canvas I like to use a water soluble on top to help the stitches, but I'm not going to do that this time. I'm just going to start it so you can see. Right? See, I'm nowhere near. I have confidence now. And that's the same method you would use anytime you set your design to another frame. So I just decided to stitch out a simple monogram just to show you. Now let's say at this point my bobbin runs out. If my machine stops, I take it out here, just like I would any hoop. I don't go towards the back knob and just take out the center part. The whole thing comes out. I replace my bobbin, I put it back, I maybe back up my stitches a little bit, press start again, and it should be in the exact same spot and not mess up what I'm stitching. I have my machine pretty slow right now. Let me speed it up so you can see that. So here I'm gonna speed up my stitches. I don't have to take it out of this to speed it up. So I'm gonna take this to 710 and see what it does, okay? So you see how when that's bolted down right, even at higher speeds, this won't flop. If it's flopping like that, that bolt in the back wasn't tight enough, or you didn't line up those holes with those little pokey things. So even when you go at high speeds, it should be solid like that. Monogram to show you how this works. machine is telling me that it's done. Great. So here's how you get this out. You don't reach behind and get that bolt. Do not do that. You're gonna take it out like you do any other frame. Push up. Take it out. Right? You can take this off. It's really however you want to do it. I normally take this off first. Then I'll take my clips off. Pull that out. Right? Go on the inside. Tear that out. And there is my bag with my monogram. Hope this helps you, because I broke 2 needles before I figured all this out. Good luck.